And this is a man named A.D. Riles, who was a assistant hotel manager there at the Texas. And this is it. This is the living room. This was a 3-room suite that they stayed in. It was kind of a split bedroom arrangement, and the little bedroom was over here. The big bedroom was behind us on the other side. And the color schemes were kind of over the top, really. It had these Dutch blue walls, and it had this kind of a Chinese screen that wrapped around here, and sofa that wrapped around it. It had these accent pillows, and this was a game table with some chairs around it. And the Star-Telegram and the Fort Worth Press didn't exactly know how to describe this room, and so when you read the accounts of it, they're trying to tell you what it looks like, but it's really kind of hard to do because it's different. And so they called it Chinese modern. That was the phrase, Chinese modern. When you think about China, you think about ancient, like 3,000 years old. And so China and modern are kind of an odd coupling, but that's what they called it, Chinese modern. This is a couple of black and white shots of the living room. And this is one of the housekeepers. These were taken about 2 days before the Kennedys got there, so they're in there doing their housekeeping duties. This window was on the south wall. This actually looked out on 8th Street in this parking lot where he gave that speech outside. And there was a part of that wall had a mirror on it. There's Mr. Riles. He's kind of making sure everything's getting done correctly. This was the big bedroom. This room had 2 windows, and they looked out onto Commerce Street. So there were 2 windows in the big bedroom, the master bedroom they called it. This big bed in there was a king-size bed, but it was really just these 2 twin beds kind of pushed together with a mattress laid on top. Most of y'all may or may not be aware that President Kennedy had a really bad back, a seriously bad back. So whenever he was on the road, the Secret Service had to carry a special mattress for him to sleep on, and it was 5 inches thick, it was stuffed with horsehair, and as hard as a brick. So they actually took this upper mattress off, and they installed that horsehair mattress on one side of this arrangement, and then I'm sure they probably just figured the Kennedys would stay together, and so they figured Mrs. Kennedy would sleep over here. But they had to sort of monkey with the mattress because of his special requirements. This was a little sitting area inside the master bedroom, and this window also looked out onto Commerce Street. And then the little bedroom, which we see through this door, wasn't much. It was very tiny. Had 1 window that looked out onto the parking lot, had a little tiny bathroom, and this turned out to be the room where Mrs. Kennedy spent the night. So the question is, why did they stay in this particular set of rooms? Because they're not particularly luxurious and they're not that great. This is a current day photograph of the hotel again, so we're back in the present day. There used to be, in the old days, there was a luxury suite up here on the top floor called the Will Rogers Suite, and that was the penthouse of the Hotel Texas. And that's where the Kennedys originally were going to be, was in the penthouse, which makes sense. You give him the best rooms. He's the president. When his Secret Service advance team got here, they began to assess the suite, and they discovered, for one thing, there were 3 entrances into the suite, so they were going to have to provide at least three agents to watch all these entrances at night. And right across the street here in the old Fort Worth National Bank building, some of the windows had a line of sight almost directly into the suite. You could just look right in. And they said, oh gosh, we're going to have to go secure this thing too, and we don't have this kind of manpower. So the easiest thing to do is just simply move the Kennedys somewhere else, which is what happened. So they moved into Suite 850, which was on the 8th floor, down here on the other end. And there were no buildings opposite to look in. There was one door. It was just easier to put them there. So they wound up there. The Sunday before the Kennedys arrived, the Star-Telegram and the Fort Worth Press both wrote about the sleeping arrangements, about this room where the Kennedys were going to stay. They weren't made aware of any security concerns because the Secret Service had no obligation to discuss their protection schemes, with a newspaper. So they did. All the papers reported is that The Kennedys were staying in the second best set of rooms in the hotel, and Lyndon and Lady Bird Johnson were staying in the best rooms in the hotel. That's what got reported. Well, that caused a little head scratching. You know, why would that be? How could that be? Because the president, why aren't we putting him in the best rooms? Well, there was a guy out at Bell Helicopter, and this is him. His name's Owen Day, or was Owen Day. Owen was a part-time art critic for the Fort Worth Press. He knew the lady that wrote the article. Her name was Jean Wysada, is the lady that wrote about Suite 850 in the Fort Worth Press. And if you read this article real carefully, it's just a hoot because it's a total send-up of the suite that we just looked at. And basically she says in this article, there's nothing in this room that Jackie Kennedy is going to want to look at. In fact, she's going to be so bored that she may have to resort to playing cards to pass the time. And so that kind of caught people's attention, including Owen Day's attention. And so Owen, being an art critic, he used to go to art shows around Fort Worth. He knew where some of the private collections were. And Owen's idea was, well, why don't we just strip this suite of some of these tacky decorations and hang original art, you know, real art up here for the president and his wife, and kind of try to transform the suite. That was his idea. On Monday, the 18th, so we're just a few days out now before the Kennedys get here, he calls this man, and this is Sam Canty. Sam was the vice president for public relations at the First National Bank of Fort Worth. And he was an art collector, and he was kind of a big wheel in the Fort Worth art community in those days. He was a former president of the Fort Worth Art Association, and this is Sam and his wife, Betsy Canty. Y'all have heard the name of the law firm Canty Hanger, which has been in Fort Worth a long time. That was the family that Sam Canty was out of. He wasn't an attorney, but he was a banker. So Sam Canty took